Well, it's the tragic death of a Metro officer. Stay-at-home orders are expiring. New recruits to help with the upcoming election. KU makes a decision for the fall and hope on the medical front for battling COVID-19. Joe Chiodo from KCTV5 News this morning is here with a look at what is making news today. Joe, our Metro is just rocked by another tragedy here. It seems like this has happened so often in the last 5 years here in Kansas City, the death of one of our Metro officers.
It's such tough news, a really tough start to the work week for a lot of people, especially the Overland Park community. You mentioned this happening so much over the past 5 years, and it really has, which is just heartbreaking in and of itself, but it hasn't necessarily happened in Overland Park. And this is new for them, what they're dealing with. The last officer to pass away in the line of duty was Deanna Rose. So this new information we're learning this morning is the name of the officer. It's 37-year-old Mike Mosher. So tough to report that he was a father to a little girl and a husband. He's been with Overland Park for 10 years, so he was a dedicated serviceman. Mosher was on his way to work when he saw a hit and run yesterday. He called for backup before pulling the suspect over. The suspect got out of the car with a gun and the shootout started. The suspect died at the scene. Officer Mosher died at the hospital. Something, of course, that we're going to continue to be covering through the day, so you can expect updates at noon and 4, 5, and 6 tonight on KCTV5.
And in those previous officers' death, we saw our community just pour out support, especially for the officers' funerals, which I think is going to be it'll be interesting to see how we can still honor his service and sacrifice for our community in this era of social distancing.
And
what that looks like.
I don't think anyone will let it just pass by.
No,
he will be honored in a big way. But you're right. It's gonna look very different compared to years past.
Yeah, and I mean, he definitely deserves that honor. Well, let's talk more about some of the stay-at-home and the social distancing things. Some of the states are starting to repeal those now. We've seen Missouri and Kansas allow their stay-at-home orders to expire, but that's not necessarily the story for some of the metro area.
No, so it's kind of hard to wrap your head around, and there's a lot of differences based on where you live and where you're traveling to. So Kansas and Missouri, yes, our stay-at-home orders are lifted. Both of their states, or our states, excuse me, getting our economies back up and running, but it will look different depending on which side you're on. So first, let's break it down by state. Missouri's plan does look a lot more relaxed. Governor Mike Parson's Show Me Strong recovery plan, it's allowing most businesses to resume operations. Of course, they're emphasizing social distancing to continue. Now, if you hop over to Kansas, Governor Laura Kelly is only allowing businesses with limited public interaction to reopen. So that would be gyms, hair and nail salons, barbershops, and bars. Those all have to wait. They do not get to open today. They will have to wait until at least the 18th. Now, in the metro, Kansas City, there are separate guidelines. So Kansas City, Missouri, while Missouri is allowing businesses to reopen, KC is not. They are going to do a soft reopening. That'll happen on Wednesday. Jackson, Johnson, and Wyandotte counties, that'll wait until next Monday, May 11th, to begin that process. The next part of this question, there's so much, is what does a soft reopening look like? So what does that mean? So Mayor Quentin Lucas laid this out, the city's 10-10-10 plan. He explained this last week, and what it means is basically that no more than 10% capacity inside the large venues and businesses, and then for smaller ones, that means no more than 10 people total. Is still going to have a huge impact on business. Anybody who spends more than 10 minutes at a time inside a business will then have to give their contact information, and the reason is that if there is an outbreak that might occur, then they could do contact tracing to see, all right, who was where, who gave what to who, to kind of trace their steps. It's a lot.
Mind-blowing.
It's all on our website as well, because I know that's very tough to
just to follow all the way through. All right, real quick, the elections are coming up. We have primaries in August, and then now we're targeting younger poll workers.
Correct, and there's reason for this on both fronts. So Kansas Secretary of State Scott Schwab is planning to recruit younger people to help run the polls and volunteer at the elections in November. That's because we expect a second wave of coronavirus to hit around that time. And here's his reasoning. He believes teens are less likely to contract the virus, which is pretty much true from what we've seen. And they also are more comfortable with technology than older workers. So not that we aren't thankful for all of our older workers who have worked these polls for so long. They do amazing work as well. But I think that, if you can save some lives while doing it, they say that really they feel that they can do just as good of a job as the older workers.
And we appreciate all those volunteers who are out there working those polls every August and November. Let's talk about KU. They have some plans for reopening in the fall semester now.
I think this brings some relief to people. I mean, some normalcy at least that we get to talk about for right now. So KU is going to open back up the campus for in-person classes during the fall semester. The school says classes will resume in some capacity for the fall. KU closed in-person classes back in March. Right now, the university is continuing all classes online and for the summer semester. My brothers are both in college, not at KU, but I was talking to them, and you know, I do have a feeling that it's still going to look different. I mean, some of those lecture halls are 300 people
huge.
Plus. I have a feeling those huge lectures aren't going to be happening.
As much, or they'll be spacing out a little bit. Now, real quickly, we got to get to this. The new drug that Dr. Anthony Fauci touted last week. Is there an update on that here over the weekend?
There is. So researchers are hoping that Remdesivir, it could ease the symptoms of COVID-19, and of course, they are hoping now the new information that it could begin happening this week.
Wow.
It's an anti-Ebola medication. Preliminary trials show it might shorten the hospital stays for patients. The drug would be a treatment, not a vaccine, so keep that in mind. But if patients spend fewer days in the hospital, that would then ease pressure on the healthcare system.
All right, he is Joe Chiodo, and we appreciate your help here this morning, sir, on
sure.
running down the news today. Belinda?